Football fans, Gooners, welcome to the Thursday morning edition of the Positively Uncensored Arsenal podcast. It is Thursday, early Thursday morning in my part of the world, but wherever you are, thanks for listening in. Thanks for tuning in to the Positively Uncensored. And as always, I welcome you to like and subscribe. We think we have a truthful, honest point of view of two old veterans like George and myself. George, good morning. We are I am imploring people to listen to you, George, and to listen to both of us. How are you this morning?
Positively positive.
Well, your many viewers and listeners on the Positively Arsenal blog will be happy to hear that you're positively positive. George, we are both very positive and happy. A shocking, surprising upset of Chelsea by Arsenal yesterday. I never saw this coming. Did you, George?
No, that was right out of the blue, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yesterday, Biso tweeted that we would get a draw or a win. And I said, my reply was, stay away from the bookies today. And she was right. But I think it was more good luck than good management that she was right. But anyway, it was a terrific result, albeit surprising, but fantastic result for the club. And it puts a jaunt in everybody's step for the run-in. You know, that was our game in hand, which people were assuming we wouldn't win because it was Chelsea away, and we have won it. And it bodes well for the last 6 games. It's 6 games left.
Yes, it is.
So it gives us something to look forward to at least.
You know, George, the thing that's really surprised me is the day before Manchester United lost, right? And did Tottenham play? Who did they lose to? And I was like, wow. Brighton. Who was they? Lost to whom?
Brighton.
Think so, yes. And I was like, my goodness, these two teams have let us back in the top 4. And George, I came online because I'm a little bit behind the UK. And I came online on Twitter and I saw people arguing about Arteta in our Arteta out. Something which I have discouraged people from getting drawn into for many reasons. Because I said, we have a chance, you know. And in my little blog by Shard Gooner, I said, top 4 is now back in our hands. So I'm going to give myself a little pat on the back. Shard Gooner, you're watching me. But George, it's as if none of these 3 teams can get on a run. And I'm wondering if what we can take from this game that perhaps suggests we are the team to make it to top 4. Your thoughts on that, my friend?
So what you're basically saying is that we might be the best of a bad bunch.
I'm saying it. Yes, I am. Yeah. I'm not afraid to say it.
And I'm agreeing with you. So yeah, we're in with a chance again. Mm-hmm. United and Tottenham keep shooting themselves in the foot. And it's lovely to watch. You know, we can laugh at them, but mustn't laugh at ourselves.
Right.
But I mean, when you think how bad United have been this season, with 3 points behind us.
Yes. And I think they have a game up. If not, we're on the same number of games. I was looking at it yesterday. I didn't look at it this morning for this podcast. But I can look while you're speaking. But anyway, yes. Go ahead, George.
Anyway, they're inconsistent at best. Mm-hmm. Tottenham looked to be on a bit of a run, but they were a shambles against Brighton. as were we.
Mm-hmm.
And then Brighton went up to Manchester City and got shown exactly what a good team does to a team like Brighton. And so it's not that, let's not pretend Brighton are pulling up trees, you know.
No, they got beaten yesterday, 3-0, I think. 3-0.
Yeah, we were bad and so were Spurs, but that's gone. We've got something to look forward to. And like I said, jaunt on the step, good feeling back. I mean, it's been awful on social media recently, this last couple of weeks. And like you said, that the divide in the fan base between Arteta in and Arteta out is as malevolent now as it was at the peak of Arsene Wenger being hounded out of the. And for no reason for Arsene other than the people were bored of and thought somehow a change would make a difference. Well, it did make a difference. It made us worse. And there's no nuance at all. It's either in or out with Arteta. Well, or is it? Maybe there's a lot of nuance and we just don't see it because it's only the vocal people pushing the way to the front like us. So I think we all have to calm down and see where we end up 6 games. So it's only 6 games. Surely we can all wait 6 games before we either turn on him or support him. 6 games. That's all we have to wait.
What, George, you know, I have told myself, and I'm going to say this to the fans that watch us, that we in the Wenger era, when he was under so much attack, much of it unfounded, and people, as you say, refused to take into account any offsetting factor. For example, the 71 points we amassed in his second to last year,
75 points.
75 points would have normally gotten us in top 4, but you know, the AFTV, the Wenger out brigade, that was a reason for them to fly more flags, and we're like, let us judge the man in May. This is a point I'm making, and I would say let us judge Arteta in May.
Well, yeah, but you still got to judge game by game as well.
Of course.
You know, you can't. It's not a overriding rule that you can't judge till May. When you watch performances like we had against Brighton and Crystal Palace, and who was the other one? Can't remember who beat us now. We lost 3.
Our last game was not Chris. Last game was Brighton Hove. No, guys, I'm losing it. I'll get back to you on that, George. I'm losing it.
Yeah, but anyway, you know, you can't let them slide and not comment on them. They're all part of the end result. Mm-hmm. But it's not going over the top on any one performance, good or bad. I mean, you'll see people going over the top on, you know, he beat a big team. We beat Chelsea. You know, look at the cost of their squad and all the rest of it, and not look at the game as a whole. And yes, there were some things we did really well and some outstanding individual performances last night, I thought. We'll go into that maybe in a minute.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, Chelsea literally gifted us 3 goals. I mean,
and you know, George, the last goal. Sorry, go ahead.
With a plate, with the goals on, and said, "Here you are, lads. Here's 3 goals for you." I mean, they were shocking.
I would say they gifted us 2 goals because the ESR one, where he shot first time into the.
That's a good goal. That
was an excellent goal. Although they lost the ball, actually Chelsea just turned over the ball. I mean, there were so many unforced errors. We'll talk about that in a minute. We beat the last game. I couldn't remember which we spoke about. Nightmare in Southampton.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys, but George, let's talk about the game. Let's talk about the game, and I'm going to going to share with the audience the match stats. It's quite surprising. It will tell us a lot. George, they had 68% possession. We had only 32. And let's blow this up. Um, but we outshot them, George. We had more shots, more on target. Um, we had even more big chances. Something Arsenal has never. We have been. That has been the feature of our game. We don't create big chances. And last night, we had two big chances to Chelsea's none. What do you make of those underlying stats, George?
Well, first of all, the possession stats are sort of skewed because we were sitting back and allowing them to come on to us. Too much so at one point, with about 20 minutes to go, I feared the worst because they were literally camped outside our box.
Mm-hmm.
But so that's a bit of a deceiving fact. But they did keep the ball better than us. But they were at home, and so they should. They were poor though.
They made so many errors, starting with the Christensen error.
They were obviously a bit leggy from that marathon quarter-final in the Champions League.
Yes.
And they had some injuries. Lukaku, what a waste
of time. A pale shadow of the player that bullied us.
He doesn't even look fit, does he?
Yes.
He just doesn't look fit. But anyway, thankfully they played him.
Yes.
Which helped, and didn't play the best player, Havertz.
Yes.
So the best two central defenders didn't play. Central defenders didn't. Well, they didn't. Not in the first half, anyway. So they were tired and depleted. But even so, we went to Chelsea and won. 4-2.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
At the end of the day, it's got to be a great result.
Of course.
Maybe not a great performance, but a great result.
Well, George, I think the first thing that we will detected is that Arteta's selection. And this is something that we advocated with you and Ehab. It was two podcasts ago, and I would recommend the audience go back. When we recommended that he go 3-4-3, and then he went to Southampton and went and still played 4 at the back. We even said, you don't have Partey, play El Neni in the middle. He went and he still chose Lukongo. I thought that was a key, first of all, that was a key part of the selection. And it allowed, and I know you're going to talk about this, but Ben White looked excellent playing in the right back position. Holding coming into the center of the three, and Gabriel being on the left side. I think that the defense, and then with the two wing backs and Tavares, we know that he doesn't defend very well, and he was horrible on the first goal or the second goal where he stood ball watching and let that guy there, the right back, just come inside him and score. But I thought that the selection, the 3 at the back, and then with El Nene and Xhaka, sitting in midfield in front of them, provided the platform for us to do what we did. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Who do you think played at right back then?
Who we started off with as right backs?
I'm asking you.
Wasn't it I know Holding played central. Ben White was the right back.
Yeah, you're saying. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think we played 4 at the back.
I thought we played 3 at the back.
I know you did. You said that. But if I'm asking, if you think we played 3 at the back, who played at right back?
I am trying to remember who played at right back. Wasn't Tavares? It was Tavares on the left, and who else was on the right? It wasn't Cedric. Cedric came off. George, you're killing me here. Going back to the selection. We'll go ahead, George. What do you make your comment, and then I'll fill you in.
Yeah, I was just saying. I think we sort of tried to play 3 at the back, and it was a shambles for the first 15 minutes.
It wasn't looking good.
And then I think he changed it. Good for him. An early change. Excellent. That's what you want to see. And he changed it, and he went to 4 at the back. Doing what I recommended we did last week.
You think we played? I know that people are saying you're saying we played 4 at the back. My impression was we played 3 at the back. I think the Ben White playing. I didn't think Ben White was a fullback. If you see what I'm saying, but maybe. But in my opinion, it was more a 3 at the back system. Although Ben White
like
did not overlap a lot.
I'll accept that if you can tell me who played at right back.
Well, Ben White.
Well, you're saying he wasn't right back. You're saying he didn't play right back.
No, I did. I said that he was
right. So it's 4.
He was the right of the 3. He was the right of the 3.
Well, that's if there's right of a 3, you still. If you're saying we played 3 central defenders, that means we had wing backs. We had Tavares and who?
I think Odegaard was pushed up. Saka was on the left. El Neni was shading right, and Granit Xhaka was shading right. You know what it is, George? I think it was what you would call a skewed, not just merely a skewed, but a system that was kind of tilted to with the left, Tavares pushed up. You're disagreeing with me. Go ahead.
I've got you on the hook here, haven't I?
Yeah, you are.
It's squirming, Shotta.
Yeah.
No, I thought about this yesterday. I'm not being funny. I thought we started off 3 at the back, but then I couldn't for the life of me think, well, if we're playing 3 at the back, who the fuck's playing as right wing back?
Yes, and I didn't think about that enough. And that's why you have me.
Yeah, but I did think about it enough, and I still don't fucking know who it was supposed to be. And whoever it wasn't working because we were all over the place. And I think he changed it after about 15 minutes, and I think Ben White just played right back.
Mm-hmm. But he didn't overlap.
A little bit tucked in, but back.
Right.
Tavares left back, and Rob and Gabriel in the middle, with obviously El Neni and Xhaka sitting in front of them. That gave us a solid base. It was solid after they changed it to that. And that was what I said we should do last week. Play Ben White at right back. I actually said we should play Cedric at left back.
Yes, and he didn't play him.
Move Ben White there and Cedric at left back. And but anyway, he didn't. He went with Tavares, and like you say, he was a little bit to blame for the first goal. But anyway, it looked a lot more solid, and we looked solid in the second half when we sat back and let them have the ball, and we looked dangerous on the break. And I thought Xhaka and El Neni were absolutely outstanding. El Neni did everything that we want Partey to be able to do. He gets the ball. He's an engine. He can run forever.
Yes.
He does nothing complicated. He gets it and gives it. And I just thought he was fantastic. Xhaka was man of the match for me. And we looked a threat. Odegaard seemed to go missing for the first half. I hardly saw him, except he had an assist. So he was playing, but he didn't have the influence I was hoping for. But, he was part of that absolutely fabulous goal. And that goal is something else, I've been watching it on a loop this morning.
The one with ESR?
Where Xhaka dribbles out, picks it up in our own box.
Yes.
Tells Rob Holding to get out of the way, runs around Rob Holding, nutmegs somebody,
right?
Carries on, brilliant pass to Odegaard. Odegaard takes it, puts it in, and Smith Rowe finished it off beautifully. Fantastic goal, that as good as any goal you'll see.
Right.
But Xhaka, bloody hell. I mean, the commentator on my feed said, well, he's got ice in his blood, this guy. You know, I mean, he just dribbled. I mean, imagine doing a nutmeg in your own box.
Edge of the 6-yard box. But George, and so everyone is going to say he's a great player, but he's been doing this forever. But at least yesterday he was relieved of the defensive pressure, except when he had to look out for Tavares, who, is a young fellow. And I always say, from the time we saw him playing for Benfica, he was never the greatest defensive player. I mean, he was absolutely a beast going forward, and he had some runs yesterday.
Yeah, he did. I mean,
that cross across.
It makes me laugh. They'll say, "Oh, he can't defend. He can't defend." Has anybody ever watched Trent Alexander-Arnold trying
exactly?
To defend?
Yes.
The guy would not get in an under 15 team as a defender. But
England won't play him as a defender, by the way, George. England won't play him.
No, well, no wonder he's not a defender. But
yes.
But what a contribution he makes to that team. He's a phenomenal player.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying Tavares is in that class, but you've got to accept that if the strengths are going forward, it was the same with Bellerin. Bellerin's strength wasn't defending.
Exactly.
It was going forward. Nacho Monreal, he's the exception, you see. You get somebody who can defend and attack, but worth the weight in gold. Absolutely worth the weight in gold. And Chelsea's got one of them. That Reece James.
Yes.
What a player he is.
Yes.
But anyway, I diverge. I thought Tavares did okay. A little bit responsible for a goal. But Eddie was responsible for a goal as well. I mean, he gave the ball away.
Yes, he did, and then the boy.
They gave it away very poorly in our own half. He basically passed it to them, and they were through on goal. But he did well. I mean, the 2 goals he scored were Poacher's opportunistic goals, weren't they? And neither of them should have been scored because the defending was shocking.
Right.
But if somebody defends badly, you have to take advantage of it. And he did. And I don't think Lacazette, for instance, would have taken advantage of those 2 lapses.
And Lacazette.
He wouldn't have got to the ball. He wouldn't have got to the first one.
Right.
He's not fast enough to have got to the ball.
He doesn't have the foot speed. He doesn't have the foot speed, and I get the impression now his first inclination these days is to pass. And when you get into a certain type of way of playing, he's not playing like a striker. That's what Lacazette's problem is. And he goes somewhere else, he's gonna refine his, he's gonna find his old striker's instincts. But in this team, he was not being played as a striker. I mean, I gave a stat that showed that he's number early this week. I went on a site called 1v1. And he's in top 10 for assists outside the box. Make up that if you wish, George. Top 10 in the league. Lacazette is a striker. He's playing deep. He's a midfielder. George, the other thing that we spoke about this with Beisel. And we said this, you even said that, and I use it on a clip, that the front 3 that we've been playing with, that is Saka, Odegaard, and ESR are not as world class, are not as good as we think. But yesterday, I thought the Saka, Odegaard, ESR combination was dangerous. I did speak about the defending, so I want to go up on the front line. I know you mentioned it, but I think that Saka in particular had Alonso in a lot of trouble, and I think that one of the things is that Alonso was tired and he was not very comfortable.
Alonso was tired. He's long in the tooth, and he was never a good defender in the first place.
Yes, he's never been.
He's like what we've just been talking about. His strength is going forward,
right?
Not defending.
Right.
So you play him at home, not expecting him to have to defend, basically.
And he had to.
And he had to. And
he didn't do very well.
He didn't match up to a young, fleet-footed winger like Saka.
Yes.
So, I mean, there were some good performances, but Chelsea were poor and they gifted us 3 goals. But even the penalty that. I mean, what a
George, that was.
ridiculous
I thought
penalty.
I didn't think that was a penalty, but I'll take it any time of the day. But Saka did what he had to do. He held on to him, and I saw a replay on my feed. I don't know if you saw it, but it was clear that he was held. He was pinned because Alonso didn't have any reason to push him down. What are your thoughts on that?
Aspilicueta, wasn't it?
As Aspilicueta. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, I thought it was a penalty.
You did?
Yeah, but it was a stupid penalty because it was no threat. What was he doing?
Right.
Why was he dragging him down? It's just madness, absolute brain fart.
No, George, I disagree with you. I think Saka pinned him. I think he was kind of troubled.
He was looking for it.
Yes.
But he got it.
Yes.
And he got it because Aspilicueta fucked up and fouled him.
Yes. Well, kind of pushed him in the
Tried to
shove him off, right?
No, he had hold of his arm and dragged him down.
No.
But anyway, that was a gift.
Yes.
The first one was a gift where the bad back pass.
What was Christensen thinking? And I rate that guy, by the way.
And the other one where Eddie toe poked it in after it was a bit of pinball at the edge of the.
Oh my! And they lost the ball. They left the right back. I don't know if it was Reece James or one of them. They lost the ball again. It was just a misdirected pass, and Tavares got it in there, and Eddie took full advantage.
He did take full advantage, but it was they had chances to clear it. And it was more by goal. The ball fell there. He didn't play it there. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And he literally toe poked it in. But anyway, what I'm saying is they gave us 3 goals. And you have to bear that in mind. It wasn't a comprehensive victory, really, that it looks on paper. Even when right until that penalty, there was a good danger that we weren't going to get all 3 points. It wasn't like we were in control of the game, was it? At any point. At no point were we in control of that game.
Well, George, I'm going to tell you this. I watched a game on a delayed basis, and I did not check Twitter. I had no idea of the results. None whatsoever. But I was sitting with the missus and watching the game. She wasn't watching, but she taking interest in what I was saying. And I said to her, Arsenal could win this game, And this was at 2-2. I'm like, because I didn't see the energy I didn't see the energy in Chelsea, George. That was what I didn't see. They were making too many mistakes. And I think that is I was about to say that's a lesson I draw from the game, but that's too simplistic. I think we were up for the game. I think we were energetic. I think we played as if we had nothing to lose. That is what I saw in the body language of the team. Nothing to lose. If we lost it wasn't going to neither here nor there. And Chelsea was tired and making mistakes. And that is how I think that was the conclusion that led me to say to the missus, I think we can win this game. You're George.
Well, yeah. I think we took advantage of things going in our favour. But like I say, even if you're gifted 3 opportunities to score, you still have to take those opportunities. And we did. And we won. And I thought we did. I mean, I'm quick to criticise Arteta.
Yes.
And but what I drew from it is there is a unity in that group. He keeps telling us there is. And you can see it. You can see it, Shotta.
Well, you know what?
They are behind him. I don't, the majority of them are behind him. And these are professional fucking players. Xhaka's nobody's fucking mug. He doesn't toe the line, does he? If he doesn't like something, you know about it.
Yes.
He's behind him. He trusts him. The other players trust him. I mean, some of the things he says are ridiculous. I mean, he came out about saying how pleased he was for Eddie and how fantastic he'd been over the season and his attitude, blah, 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 but he never plays him.
Yes.
You know,
The
the same with El Neni, you know,
yes.
but he never plays him, and Rob, but he never plays him. But even though he's not playing them, they've come in and they've performed. So that means that the spirit in the camp must be good. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
To bring them in out the cold, having not played, and then perform 100% like they did, means that the spirit in the camp, even for those that aren't getting picked. I can understand people saying, oh, he's a great manager, I love him, I love his tactics, blah, blah, blah. If they're getting played every week, you would say that, wouldn't you? If you've been picked every week, you will back the manager through thick and thin. But when the ones who aren't being played every week also come in and perform with energy, enthusiasm, and spirit, that means that there is a spirit in the camp.
I think you are right there, George. Well, in that interview, Xhaka said he was the one who convinced him to stay. He was convinced that he had the right plan. He had, he knew what he was doing. That's essentially what Xhaka said, and he had a plan that suited him and would involve him. The other thing that struck me, though, as an observer from the outside, because I am an observer, I'm not an. Both of us are observers from a distance. But the thing that struck me is the team is young, and all of these young players look up to him. That's the impression I get. And there are only two veterans really, El Nene and Xhaka. Are the two players you'd say with long in the tooth, and Lacazette. But I think that, and when I reflect on it, I would say the Ozils and the Aubameyangs were like they had played with big clubs before, and they probably weren't convinced by what he was doing. I mean, you know what all the veteran players are like. I played with more experienced coaches, and that was what I drew every time I look at it. And when I see all these young players surround him, that is how, and I think that by the way, guys, for you are listening to me, the point I'm making, they are going to be inconsistent because when you're that young, they're going to be inconsistent. And you can listen to the feed and you hear Arteta calling them by name. George shouting instructions with the crowd there. So they are buying into it because he's coaching them on the field. I don't know if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. But young players, given the chance to play, will back the manager, even if the manager's crap. If they're getting played every week, they're not going to come out and say, "Oh, I know I'm getting played every week, but he's shit." They're going to say how good he is. But the other guys, the ones that aren't playing every week, older professionals like El Neni, they back him as well. They come in and they show spirit. So I'm tending to think that when he says that the spirit in the camp is good, the spirit in the camp is good. It's easy to doubt them and say, well, they all say that. But it certainly looks to be the case. And I think he has to have credit for that. Because let's face it, he can be a very impressive speaker.
Yes.
If your mindset, my mindset when I switch the telly on is, what bullshit's you going to give me today? Right? But if you were turning the telly on and think with the mindset of, what are Mikel's words of wisdom today?
Yeah.
The same thing would sound completely different. So those young players are probably hugely impressed by what he says, and maybe rightly so, by the way.
Yeah.
Because he was a fabulous technical player.
Yes.
And he's obviously a good coach. He comes highly recommended by Arsene Wenger, Pep Guardiola. All the players that play with him at City really rate him, his coaching skills. So he clearly has something. Clearly. But will that overcome his lack of experience or his
And the
fault?
money is spent too, George.
Let's wait and see. Let's not go into that too much. Let's wait for 6 weeks until we get to the end of the season. We'll have the debate
Right.
about Arteta.
George, so it's Manchester
now-
United. It's Manchester United this Saturday, I
Yeah.
think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is going to be very interesting. They, by the way, George, guys, audience, they are a wounded animal. And
don't, Shotta, don't.
Yeah.
You'll see, Manchester United will turn into peak Brazil when they come to. No, they won't.
You
They're
really?
fucking shite, and they'll be shite. And they'll only win if we are even more shite. They won't come and play well, Shotta. They won't.
I wish I was as sanguine as you are.
They might win, but if they win, it'll be because we've been worse than them, not because they've been better than us.
Well, we'll see. There is something to what you say, but I don't think that they have given up on top four, George. That is my essentially.
I'm sure they haven't, but the crap.
There's a dog fight. There's a dog fight there, George. And if we take it for granted that, then I think that that's a problem. I think that the attitude this team has to take. Every one of these games are hard. There's no easy game.
They won't take it for granted.
Okay.
I'm not taking a victory for granted. We can play bad enough that anybody can beat us. No, a bad Manchester United side can beat us because fucking Crystal Palace can beat us. Brighton can beat us. Southampton can beat us. And they're all lower in the table than Manchester United. So Manchester United can certainly beat us. What I'm saying is the crap. And we have to just not be quite as bad as them to beat them.
That's a very optimistic note, George, or
I think we'll beat them anyway.
I don't want to lay that on too heavy. It's a hopeful note, George. And on that, we will end this edition.
3-0.
You hear that, guys? George is predicting a 3-0. Well, your boy Shotta is not as sanguine, as they say, using a big word. Anyway, let's leave it at that.
Okay.
George, you by the way, guys, George, you killed me on that. Who was playing right back? It's still worrying me. I gotta say this, and you're right, but it's still nagging me because I really, in my my impression, it was a 3 at the back system. But you got me there, guys. Welcome to your expert. Anyway, on that note, thank you very much. Until we do this after post Manchester United, George.
Right. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.